Hello and welcome to a very special episode of Did RedLetterMedia Invent Slenderman? This is the first and only episode of this program we're introducing today.
That's right, Jay. I'm Mike.
And I'm Jay.
And I recently watched the documentary Beware the Slenderman.
Yes, the made for HBO documentary. I saw it a few months ago when it originally came out.
You're into documentaries big time. I enjoy them. I don't watch them as frequently. But I did watch this one, and it does have a Wisconsin connection.
Police say they attacked their friend during a sleepover to appease the fictional character Slenderman.
And she lived.
Yeah, she
luckily.
survived, thankfully.
Yeah.
Because they thought if they killed her, the Slenderman would take them into his magical castle in the woods.
Right, and I'm not too familiar, before that I wasn't too familiar with the Slenderman stuff. I knew what the image was, I knew what he looked like, but I didn't know about the whole, like, he has a castle in the woods and you can live with him if you sacrifice somebody. I didn't know any of that until the documentary.
Yeah, well, Slenderman started off where there was a Photoshop contest on Something Awful forums where make an old photo look paranormal or creepy.
Yeah.
And a guy named Eric Knudsen photoshopped a picture of Slenderman in the background. And then I think it's what called creepy fettuccine? Creepy fettuccine Alfredo.
Mike, it's creepy angel hair.
Oh, creepy spaghetti?
Yeah, which oddly enough is my my uncle's band name.
Oh.
Creepy angel hair.
Yeah, and creepypasta is an internet thing where everyone takes paranormal or horror stories and expounds upon them. And so all the stuff about the backstory of Slenderman and the magical castle and all this stuff is probably added on layers and layers and layers and layers of mythos of this fictional story.
Right.
But the point of our video today is not really to talk about the Slenderman lore. It's to bring to light a lot of the similarities that we noticed between the Slenderman and our 2006 film, The Recovered.
Well, The Recovered, like you said, we made it in 2006. It is about a woman that returns to her hometown after being away for a couple decades because her mom has passed away and she has to prepare for the funeral. And she lives on the edge of the woods, or her mom's house is on the edge of the woods, and she starts to see visions of a man that used to visit her when she was a child. And he was always standing just on the edge of the woods and sort of tormenting her. And he was bald, and he wore a suit.
And he had a pale face.
And he had a pale face, and he was always coming out of the woods to talk to her.
But a lot of the flashbacks that feature the character, the businessman, as we called him, involve our main character, Beverly, when she's a young girl, playing alone in her backyard, and the man would come out of the woods and talk to her.
Drawing a picture?
And kind of say horrible things to her and torment her. And,
well, he's trying to lure her into the woods, basically.
Yeah, and
away from the safety of her house and her mother, and into the woods.
Or so it appears at first.
Yes.
But at one point she asks, "Why are you in the woods?" Because just this weird man comes out of the woods.
Why are you in the woods?
Does your mother know what a brilliant artist she's raising?
Well, other than the imagery of a creepy man in a suit with a pale face and a bald head standing at the edge of the forest, attempting to talk to a little girl, which is often how Slenderman's portrayed.
Yes.
In lots of art. But there's another interesting one too, and it involves photos.
Yes, well that's also like the Photoshop contests or the pictures of Slenderman that people do. It's always like him in the background, right? There's a lot of that. And there's a part in The Recovered where the main character Beverly, she's home and she basically wants to forget her past, so she's throwing all these old photos into a bonfire that she's made, and then the next day she's looking at one of the half-burned photos, and far off in the distance behind her, in this photo of her as a child, is the businessman.
Very interesting.
Very odd. And these are all, we're not trying to claim we invented Slenderman or that we were ripped off, but it's just lots of weird coincidences.
Yeah, it's weird. Because yeah, as I was watching the documentary, I'm like, that looks familiar. All this kind of stuff looks familiar. Well, we shot the film in 2006, and then eventually we started working with a sales agent who shopped the film around at the AFM, which is the American Film Market. And eventually the film found a distributor and then somehow ended up on cable.
Yeah, it was like a VOD option on a whole bunch of different cable companies throughout the U.S.
Yeah.
Big Midwest region cable companies.
And the creator of the original Slenderman post was living in Chicago, which is in the Midwest. In June of 2009, June 8th, 2009, was when Eric Knudsen posted the first Slenderman Photoshop image. About a year later. Yeah, so our film, of course, did not have the Slenderman with tentacles coming out of his back, nor was there a secret castle in the woods. There was actually more of a pedestrian, realistic plot line to our film. It was not supernatural. So yeah, that's all pretty interesting. And we had a theory that the Bye Bye Man was supposed to be the Slender Man.
Yeah, there's lots of similarities. And there's also like, if you've ever heard of Marble Hornets, the web series, they have a very Slenderman type character, and they made a Marble Hornets movie. And it's basically a Slenderman character in it, but they couldn't call him Slenderman.
The guy had based Slenderman, or admitted to basing Slenderman on Stephen King stories. The guy from, what's the movie with the silver ball, Phantasm?
Oh, yeah.
That guy too.
The tall man.
So we fully acknowledge that a weird looking guy in a suit is not the most original thing in the world, but we're just having fun here, kids. Don't freak out.
The most important lesson to take away from all this is don't watch The Recovered.
Yes, that's also what we're not doing here. Yeah. Please don't watch that film. It's a big, big pile of boring shit. But do watch the documentary on HBO.
It's a good documentary.
Yeah, it went more into the Slenderman mythos than it did about the girls. It was kind of half and half.
Yeah, the first half was Slenderman, second half was the situation with the girls.
Yeah, it was 33.3% story about how the girls may or may not have schizophrenia. 33.3% how and where did the Slenderman come from, and 33.3% beautiful aerial shots of Wisconsin.
Oh. Well, lots of recent documentaries are showcasing the beauty of the characters and the people that live in Wisconsin. I mean, we've got, you know, Stephen Avery and little girls that stab their friend to try and appease an imaginary monster that lives in the woods.
And Scott Walker. Oh, don't forget, everyone's favorite, Mark Borchardt, the greatest filmmaker ever. Or, let's not forget, Ed Gein and Jeffrey Dahmer. And the Fonz.
Man, we've got a small bronze statue of the Fonz.
And someone said, wait, Wisconsin? Slenderman? There's not one in the whole state.